friends, thanks for clicking on my video. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, please give me a thumbs up, and also please consider subscribing to my channel so that you can find other videos like this as soon as I put them online. Today what I'm going to show you is how I made this soft cover for a journal. It's for a flowish journal. Do you know what a flowish journal is? Well, if you don't, it is modeled after Flow magazine, and it's a gorgeous publication. It is for crafters, and it has beautiful things inside of it that you can punch out, cut out, do all kinds of things with. It has papers inside of it, it has stickers, and all kinds of great stuff. It's kind of difficult to find in some places. Now there are some Facebook groups that have members that have started making their own homemade versions and swapping with other members. So basically the idea is you get together some things from your stash that have just been laying around collecting dust, or things that you want to share with others, maybe some things you've made like some tags and journaling cards and ephemera, things like that. And what the groups do is they will give you a swap partner, and then you can swap with each other. And so this cover that I'm going to show you today is suitable for a flowish swap journal. It's very soft. It's not a heavy-duty cover. It's something, though, that you can pack pretty full of things. As you can see here, it expands quite a bit, and I will show you how to make this closure and everything. So sit back and stay tuned. I have my cutter, and I'm going to trim off this edge. I don't like the tab sticking out. Now you may like that and you may want to leave it on, but I'm going to cut it off. Okay, so then I have this, and depending on how big your pages are or your signatures, you could cut it in half, you can trim this down. But I think I'm going to make this big because I do have some pages that are quite large, some 12 by 12 pages that I've been putting into these journals. So I do kind of like to have it big, okay? So it will fit this way. So first off, let's lay down some color on the inside. So I have my pan here that I spray in, so I'm going to put this in here, and I have some blue that, this is homemade, and it's really pretty. So I'm going to turn my paper around so it's there. And then I just have random papers in here, and then when they get enough on them that they look nice, I will take them out and use them for something. All right, so let's just put down some color. This alcohol ink does dry very quickly, so I'm just putting a base layer on here, and we'll come back in with some watercolors and fill this in. Okay, so that should dry fairly quickly. Let me get rid of this and get our watercolors. have our inside done. And it's important that you do the inside first because you don't want it bleeding through because this is wet. You can see that there's some water on there. So it turned out really pretty. I hope you can see some of the variations of the colors. And this is such an easy technique just to start out by spraying it with some sprays and then just put some watercolor on it. And it really is a nice effect. And here are my selected napkins I'm going to use. And usually for a size like this, it'll take probably 2.5 or 3 depending on how I lay these out. What you want to do is separate them so that you have the very thinnest layer. And let me show you how to do that. Of course, you can probably usually get the first layer off just by taking this and taking it off very easily. Now, you may be tricked into thinking that this is the last layer, but no, there is another layer there. So the easiest way to do that is to take a piece of tape, any kind of tape, and just put it on there and pull. And you'll be amazed by, it does rip open that other layer. See it there? You can use these pieces on something else to decoupage if you want to, but just make sure you get down to this final layer when you want to use a napkin in your projects. And there you have very beautiful tissue paper. I'll put this aside. And I've already done that with one of them. So let's do this with the other one real quick because I think we will need it. And it is better to have all of your materials all laid out just in case. And of course you can use this on something else if you want to. If you don't use it all, you can use it on a tag or something smaller like that. Let me get this. I see it there. Okay. Oh, I think I got both of them that time. Yes, I did. I got 2. Okay. So just very gently peel that back and pull it off. Okay, so we have our pieces that we want to use. And I think what I'm going to do with this, it's going to be upside down here, and I don't want that. So I'm going to cut it. My sharper scissors, those are not very sharp. Okay, cut this so that I have it going in the right direction. And you don't want to use an entire napkin. It's going to be too big and unwieldy. You're going to have a lot of wrinkles in it. So at least cut it down to this. All right, let's dry this off. I'm going to turn on my fan and we'll come back and we'll finish. I want to show you a few finishing touches for these. I took the one that we just made, which had the palms on it, and I had some trim. And I decided to cover the seams because they kind of bothered me. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything, but I did put this trim on here. And now what I'll have to do is cover the entire thing with Mod Podge so that it has a protective cover on the front and the back, of course. So I think that really turned out nicely. And remember the first one that I showed you that was the farmer's market that had the roosters on it? While everything was drying, I did put the final coat of the Mod Podge on it, so it is completely done. And then what I did was I put the signatures inside, and I put a closure on it. So I'll open it up and I'll show you how this closure works. This is probably the easiest closure you can possibly make. I took this twine, it's really rough like a burlap twine, but I think it's nice and it goes perfectly with this farm motif. So it just wraps around, and what I did to hook it in was to punch 2 holes in the back. So you can see there's one and there's one. You thread this through here so that it's tight. You can put the protectors on it if you want to, you know, but this is not that kind of journal that's going to be used all that much. So I think this is fine the way that I put it in there. And then I put all of the signatures and all of the papers and everything that I'm going to be sending off in this Flowish journal in here. I put another pocket, and it has a little letter to my swap pal in here with some die cuts and things like that. And put more stuff back in this pocket. Remember, we had the one that was the doily that was folded up. So I tied it in with a piece of burlap that matches, and this is super easy as well. I did put a couple little beads on there so that it hangs down. And then she can also take this apart and use the burlap if she wants to. I put this, then this goes around and it comes through here, and I did put it inside of that. Then all you have to do is just wrap this puppy around and tuck this in, and I put beads on this. And how cute is that? How adorable is this, you know? It's very simple, very easy, and it's a perfect cover for a Flowish junk journal. Now, if you do want to make a journal that has more of a substantial cover to it, what you can do is take a cardboard box and cut it apart. What I would suggest, though, if you do use a box, is to paint it with either a white acrylic paint or with gesso, so that if you use a thin napkin or a thin piece of tissue paper, then it stays light and you can see all your colors. It doesn't distort them, because, you know, cardboard box is kind of a, you know, bland color, and it will, you know, make your design look bland. So you want to keep that brightness, so just paint it. Another thing you can do is just take an old book, go to a thrift store and get a book for, you know, 25 cents or 50 cents or whatever, and take the pages out of it, and then you can put your journal inside of it. And like I said, this is a Flowish journal, so the idea is that she's going to take it apart and use it all. And so that's why I'd like to do these kinds of covers, because then, you know, she can repurpose this in a lot of different ways, and also use the burlap ties and the beads and everything. So I hope you liked this project. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll have more tutorials coming up. So thanks again. Have a great day.